Hi YouTube, welcome back to Tamara's Tarot Oracle channel. Today I thought I would finish off my Morgan Greer walkthrough that I had started a few weeks ago with the final suit, the Suit of Swords. So in my hand I've taken out all the swords cards, and just once again, so you can see, I am using the Morgan Greer Tarot. It's a great deck for beginners. It's just very simplistic in its imagery, very bright and bold and warm and friendly and inviting. So it's a great deck to have in any collection, and that's the one that I have chosen to use. So moving along, the Suit of Swords is all about the mind, okay? So the mental, the intellect, ideas, brainstorming, and it's about challenges. It's about the shadow aspects of a lot of, the human psyche. And I find it to be the most complex of the suits. I find there to be, I think, more shadow mixed in with the light. I think every suit has its shadow aspects, but this one in particular, I find quite intriguing because it's a little darker in most respects. So I'm going to show you the first card of this Sword of Suits, and that's the Ace of Swords. So once again, the Suit Swords is very much about the intellect and about communication and that sort of thing. So with the Suit of Swords, with the Ace of Swords, it's about triumph and force. It's about mental clarity. It's about cutting through the red tape, so to speak. It's about, cutting through, getting to the truth of the matter. And that's where mental clarity comes into play. It's sort of being able to see the challenges that lay ahead and already brainstorming and seeing how you can avoid them or deal best with them in a way that is more positive. So the Suit of Swords is, it's a double-edged sword, right? Like, you've heard the saying, it's like two sides of a coin. There's always the good and the bad and ugly. But with the Suit of Swords, one side of it can be double-edged blade, rather. One side of it is, it could be very cutthroat and very aggressive and very power hungry. And on the other hand, it could be more chivalrous and honorable and using diplomacy to attain goals and to solve conflict and circumvent obstacles and that type of thing. So there's, like with every suit and everything in life, there's that balance and there's, good and bad. So you'll see as I go along and move through the Suit of Swords, how interesting the dynamic of this particular suit is. Now, the Suit of Swords, it reigns over the sign of Aquarius, the sign of Gemini, and the sign of Libra. So my birthday is May 19th, and I am a Taurus in many respects, most respects. But I also feel like I have certain attributes of Gemini, and I am on the cusp, and I'm a little bit ambidextrous with certain things. I'm right-handed, but I do use my left hand, like when I'm applying mascara, things like that. I don't even know how I came to do it that way. It's just happened naturally for me. And I'm quite communicative and a little bit airy and aloof at times. So I feel like these are traits of the air signs, certainly of Gemini, and also two sides to me. I mean, like anybody has many layers to themselves, but I definitely feel like, there's just two dominant sides to me. Which is like the twins for Gemini. But anyway, I'm getting way off base. That could be a whole other video in itself. But getting back to the Ace of Swords, this is just a really nice depiction of the crown enveloping the sword. And it's just to show mastery and triumph and force, as I had mentioned before. And this hand is coming out of the clouds, offering almost like maybe a peace offering, about the road ahead and that there are going to be certain things that will take place but a lot of it will be in our power to control, as long as we control ourselves, control our mind in the way of how we look to deal with things and how we choose to handle things. So that is the Ace of Swords. The Two of Swords is one of my favorite cards in any tarot deck. It's one of those cards that I look for. Not that it makes or breaks it, but I mean, I like this one. I like that it's up close, and I find in this particular deck, I like how up close and personal these images are, as opposed to the Rider-Waite, where it's more at a distance and less defined and that kind of thing. This is about choice. So 2 is about choice. It is about balance, and it is about equilibrium. And in this particular depiction, she's blindfolded. Well, just froze. That was weird. I don't know how that's going to come out. She's blindfolded because it's almost like she doesn't want to see the choice that she needs to make, the choices that are there in front of her. So she's closing herself off, and the way she's crossing her arms over her chest, she doesn't want to be emotionally vulnerable. And by doing that, you're not allowing yourself to grow, and you're not allowing to give and receive messages of the mind and of the soul and that kind of thing. So it's about being in a state very much of, do I or don't I, should I or shouldn't I? Some decks, it's more of a balance. It's more of a very harmonious stage before a decision is reached. So it's kind of taking that time to make a choice, but it's before the initial action is implied. So it's just about making that choice, and it's more passive than anything. Like the Two of Wands is about planning and choosing what's going to happen next, before the Three of growth and that kind of thing takes effect and starts to move and shake things along. So the 2 is very much a more passive approach to things. It's before action resides, and it's just that pre-planning to what the next phase will be about. So that's the Two of Swords. The Three of Swords is not the happiest of cards. It's about sorrow and grief and absolute heartache and heartbreak, and it's a very sad card. As you can see, this heart has been pierced by 3 swords. Like, one wouldn't be enough, which just goes to show how much it emphasizes the sorrow and the suffering and the grief and all that. So that's quite an emotionally intensified card. And 3 is about, like I said, it's when things start to happen, and it's about growth and things like that. So this is also, you going through this shedding process of, maybe it was a relationship that didn't work out, and so you need to go through a time of grieving in order to heal. So it's a very positive card in some respects if you're looking at it in a more positive light, even though it's hard to when you're going through it at the time. And then this card comes up and you don't know how to see anything other than what you're feeling right now. So, but there are 2 sides to everything. And although it's a painful card to get, I mean, certainly if you're going through this much pain, to know that you will heal, it will only make you stronger. That saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So it's so much easier to say when you're not in it in that moment. But I'm, I want to try and be a little bit uplifting. The Four of Swords is about stability, and, it's coming out of the time of that grieving and strife and all that, and resting and recuperating and regenerating, even meditating. There's so many different ways that we can all attain that inner peace and peace of mind. We all go about it differently. So whatever works for you. And in this particular instance, this knight has his armor on, he's shielded from the world, and he just wants to be left alone, and he's just becoming whole again because he's come out of a really trying time. So that is the Four of Swords. The Five of Swords is about defeat and being underhanded and sneaky. Now you'll notice the Seven is similar, but this one is a bit more public. This one is people can see what you're doing, the foul play involved, and it's kind of like you'll go to any means to win. And if that means that you are jeopardizing your own well-being and certainly those of others, and is it really worth it? Like, you have to think of the price that you have to pay in order to attain this hollow victory, because really, if it's not done with the best of intention and in a righteous way, then really it is hollow, because it's short-lived, and then people will not want to be around you and not trust you because they would have lost respect for you, and perhaps you will even have lost respect for yourself. And so here, what I look at it like the bully card. Maybe he's bullied them out of their swords and he's collected them, and the other two are just sort of beside themselves. You can notice that in the background. It's like, why me? I mean, he's cloaked and everything, so it's like, does he have an ulterior motive? What's going on there? How, like, does he even care about how he's affecting others? You know, sometimes we have to stay strong and be assertive to attain our goal, but not if it comes at a high price. So that's where your morals and values and good judgment come into play, and hopefully you would have been raised with all of those things instilled in you in order to come to the healthiest decision. So this card is, you know, saying sometimes it's okay to accept defeat and fight another day. It doesn't always have to be about win, win, win and, you know, do or die. So I like this card. There's so many perspectives to it. It's a really interesting card. You know, the sun is setting until another day. Like, was it really worth what he went through in order to win, right? Probably not. This is the Six of Swords. This is about passage. This is about moving out of a time of mental anguish and mental turmoil and transitioning rather into a time of calmer waters. You know, a place where there's peace and tranquility rather than all this tumultuous energy going on. So that's a really nice one. I mean, so she's, or he, but, you know, whoever this cloaked figure is has just come out of a really trying time. And so there's a lot of that in the Suit of Swords. And he's helping to bring her to a place where she can leave that behind her. And the hardest part is the actual transition of going through that. It's never easy. And once you've reached the other side, can you only then appreciate the journey that you've been through in order to arrive at where you are presently? So that's the Six of Swords. Every time I'm sitting for like 2 minutes, my foot falls asleep. The Seven of Swords is similar to the Five of Swords. It's a little bit more sneaky and underhanded. It's done somewhat more in private, except you'll always be found out. People will always catch on. He thinks he's being so clever, trying to sneak away. I think it's like a camp, a military camp or something like that. And he's trying to sneak away, stealing the swords. But I think that he is detected from afar. And so how long is he actually going to get away with that? Probably not very long. So, and then he'll have to suffer through the consequences, whatever they may be. So really, you know, it's about deceit, and it's about perhaps somebody's, you know, hiding something, keeping something from you, or you yourself have something that you would like to come clean with. It's about secrets, maybe secrets about to be known, or secret. Like, I find if this comes with the High Priestess, then there's definitely something that's about to be revealed, or something that needs to be revealed. So you need to be aware of that. You might be in a situation with a dishonest coworker, or even somebody dishonest in your relationship. So you need to also watch for signs and pay special attention to little red flags that we tend to so casually and conveniently miss when it doesn't suit us. The Eight of Swords is a card that I've often received because I am an extremely indecisive person, which is not a good thing. It's one of my challenges that I am continuously trying to work through. This is about somebody who is just so completely anxiety-ridden and closed off to the options available to her. She's enclosed in these swords, and as you can see, there's an opening in the front where if she really wanted to, if she put her mind to it, because the mind's a very powerful thing, she could just walk out of that little cocoon she has created for herself. She could just, wriggle free and get rid of her bonds that tie her and pull off her blindfold and just face things head on and make a frickin' decision. So that's a very poignant card for me personally. And I like that it's a very up close image of that. Yeah, she's just totally closing herself off to being happy. And it's her own doing. So often we inflict pain onto ourselves. And we don't really have anyone else to blame but ourselves, even though we do look for blame outside of ourselves, which isn't healthy. So yeah, be aware. The Nine of Swords is about nightmares. It's about, sleepless nights, worry, anxiety, fear, but it's all in the mind. I mean, it's not really as bad as you make it out to be. It's sort of being bound by your own mindset and thought process. And you need to break free from that and face your fears. And then you'll see for yourself and realize that they're not as bad as they may have once seemed. So I feel like there's strength here in these arms and it just wants to break free from its confines. And the mind can be very confining. Things like mental illness and so many people suffering from depression and things like that. I mean, the mind is such a complex and powerful thing that it can be debilitating and paralyzing. And, and it's amazing when something is just fine-tuned a little bit and how you can see clarity and feel elation that you didn't think that you could feel, especially when you're in that state of despair. So anyway, the 10 of Swords is, you're not getting up from this situation. He's done for. He's gonzo. This is ruin. It's done. Move on. Take what you can and learn from whatever it was that didn't work out. But this is telling you that this no longer serves you. And it's time to release whatever that is and just let go and move on, which is much easier said than done, I know. So that's the 10 of Swords. The Page of Swords, he's a very precocious, very astute and sharp-minded younger energy. Not necessarily younger person, because as I think I've mentioned before, pages do represent a young energy, like a young heart or young soul, or somebody's young at heart, if that makes more sense if I say it that way. And so he's quite sharp-minded, as I said, and, with a sharp wit and intellect, and he wants to be the best at everything he sets out to do. High achiever. He has lots of ideas, and I'm still learning about the court cards, so I feel pretty comfortable with them now as opposed to before, but there's still so much to learn about them, and every deck it's a little bit different, and they're just very focused, and they know what they want, and they know how to go after it. I mean, they're still inexperienced in the ways of the world, being the page as opposed to the queen or king. And so they're at the beginning stages of all these ideas unraveling and all these insights and things like that. So he's starting his journey. He's on a man on a mission to attain what it is that he is setting out to attain. There we go. I love this guy. He's awesome. Very badass. This is the Knight of Swords, and he is the defender. He does not let his emotions get in the way of him. He says it like it is. He can be quite blunt and come across quite arrogant and obnoxious and abrupt, but he gets the job done. He's like one of King Arthur's 12 knights or something. He's the dependable, reliable, like in the sense that he always gets the job done and you can always count on him to get into the most difficult of situations and come out on top. Like he doesn't let fear or emotions, get in the way. So that's the Knight of Swords. He's quite fierce. The Queen of Swords is known as the widower. She is independent. She is very strong-willed. She is not interested in much in the way of sentiment. She'll say it like it is. She can be quite blunt. And she knows what it's like to suffer through pain and go through hard times. So I feel like that's hardened her. But she's also somebody who can be great at giving advice because she knows what it's like. She's been through it. And so she understands the situation firsthand. But she'll say it from a very rational standpoint as opposed to an emotional one, like, say, the Queen of Hearts. So that is the Queen of Swords. And she often comes up for me at times because I can be quite blunt with certain people in my life. They know who they are. And I kind of feel like, well, why would I sugarcoat anything? And why would I beat around the bush? Or, I may as well just be honest. And I know it's not always what they want to hear or in the way they want to hear it, but it's like life is short and, whatever. So there you go. The Queen of Swords. Something just popped up on my screen. I have to close it. Okay, and last but not least is the King of Swords. Very handsome king, I might say. And he is all about the intellect and planning and problem solving. He's the diplomat, he's the lawyer, the officer, the judge, he's just everything that's to do with law and the high order of logic and that kind of thing. And he also doesn't allow his emotions to get in the way. He is a very trusted advisor. He's somebody you want on your side if you're fighting for truth and justice and all that kind of thing. So that is the King of Swords. I always think of him as a chess player because that's all about strategy and logic, and that would be him in a nutshell. He gets the job done. He gets his point across. He doesn't let everything else sort of muddle it up like emotions, because I am a more emotional person and I do go based on my heart. Like I wear my heart on my sleeve. And sometimes it's a curse, sometimes it's a blessing, but more times it's a curse, it seems. So, and I go by intuition, my gut, I guess, maybe not as often as I should. And I definitely am more of an idealist, but I feel like at times I come across rather abrasive, like blunt, as I was just saying. And it seems like I'm more logical, but I'm not. Anyway, like I said, the mind is a mishmash of things. So that is the King of Swords. I didn't really break it down like in the way of, what everything meant symbology wise. There is a book actually. Oh, I'm trying to think. Where did I put it? It's my cupboard. It's the Morgan Greer. I wonder if I showed it in my first video. I don't remember, but it didn't come with the deck of cards. The deck of cards just came with, did it come with a little white book? I guess it must have. I just don't know where it is. I must have taken it out a while ago. And it doesn't really go into too much detail, the book that I'm mentioning. I can't think of the name right now. Actually, I'm going to go find it. Okay, 1 second. Okay, not where I thought it would be. I would have stopped and like edited it out or whatever, but I don't really know how to do that yet. Anyway, there is a separate book that you can get for the Morgan Greer Tarot deck. It's an older book. It's not super great. I mean, it doesn't hurt to have. It just doesn't go into too much more detail. And to be honest, if you understand the essence of each card, like the basic meanings, and then you integrate your intuition into your reading, you'll be just fine. There's so many websites anyway. Like I often go on to biddytarot.com, and there's so many other ones that, if I just need to spruce up on certain things, like, more in-depth meanings and different sides to one card, then I feel like, is it Bridget? I can't remember her last name, from biddytarot.com. She's great. She's really created a really nice little forum for tarot, and she has a book and everything, and I know you can download it or you can get the hard copy of it. It was a little bit pricey, so I didn't do that, but she just has a lot of neat tips and things like that that will help guide you through, how to do a reading and things to look for in a reading and the cards and all that kind of thing. But anyway, the Morgan Greer Tarot is, I believe, from the late 70s, and you can definitely tell by the imagery. I mean, there's mustaches and the coloring and everything. Now, there is the one in the tin I do not have, and I think the coloring is a little bit different from what I've seen on other people's videos. And yeah, anyway, that is my video of the Morgan Greer Tarot, and that's my last installment in regards to that with the Suit of Swords. So just a quick recap. I think I started with the Suit of Wands. It's about initiation. It's about passion, desire, fire, motivation, drive, energy. It's about the spark, the drive. I said all that already. More like sexual love affairs, things like that. Entrepreneurial, business ventures. So that's very much what the Suit of Wands incorporates. Then we have the Suit of Cups, and the Suit of Cups is about the emotions and the feelings and dreams and intuition and, friendships, relationships, that sort of thing. And it's about sentimentality and compassion. So that's the Suit of Cups. The Suit of Pentacles is very much about your wealth and health and material possessions and what was I thinking? It's also to do with work and that kind of thing, and it's about attaining material wealth and having that kind of protection and that solid foundation for security and for all the things within the earthly realm that make up the Suit of Pentacles. Well, all the suits are within the earthly realm, and that's what makes up the minor arcana. And then lastly, the Suit of Swords, which is about the intellect, the mind, thinking, communication, strife, struggle, challenge, triumph, like all those things to do with the mind. And did I say intellect? Yes, probably. Yeah, so, when you combine all 4 suits and all the different attributes that each suit represents, you have quite a well-rounded system and structure that can, it has that balance, and it can give you more, oh my gosh, what's that word? More accurate answers. So that is the Morgan Greer Tarot walkthrough. Ta-da, I'm done. A lot of rambling, and oh my God, it's like 30 minutes, and what happened to my short video? But that's it. Thank you so much for watching Tamara's Tarot Oracle channel. I hope you like it, and I'll see you guys all very soon. Okay, bye.